Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Here at the beginning of class, you guys should go to Moodle and download the updated version of Reptile Diversity and Systematics. It is in the This Week's Material section at the end. I did some updates last night that then I didn't get uploaded until this morning. It has some references to some things that they kind of intimate in your textbook, but since your textbook has been published, the taxonomy has been formally changed. So some things that you guys received as assignments for the snakes, like the dipsatidity and the natricity, were actually in your textbook as subfamilies and are now recognized as standalone families for reasons that we'll talk about when we get there. But anyway, those have been added to the PowerPoint, and they weren't fully in there on Wednesday because I started doing the update in preparation for Wednesday's class, and just didn't finish them. All right, questions over anything we covered last time? Any questions about the lab practical yesterday? Okay. All right, then I'm going to share my screen. Maybe share my screen. So we had just finished the anguids, which Kiara had covered, and then I added to it with some trivia about Indiana Jones movies, which I trust that you've all gone and rented and watched since we last met. No, that's not an assignment, but if you ever watch Indiana Jones, you should definitely pay attention to the snake scene because it's a classic of bad herpetology in movies. There's so much bad herpetology in movies, actually. Did you guys ever see the movie? It was the Matthew McConaughey movie, Free State of Jones. In the Free State of Jones, this guy, played by Matthew McConaughey, he kind of escapes. Well, he deserts from the Confederate Army, and he takes shelter in a swamp aided by some African-American slaves. And when they drop him off in this swamp, the first thing that he does is he is about to sit down on a stump, and the African-American slave is like, don't sit down there, don't sit down there. And then he flips it over, and underneath it is a snake that is clearly supposed to be a coral snake, but in actuality, it's a milk snake, which is a coral snake mimic, but to any trained herpetologist, it's apparent that it is not a coral snake. Anyway, there's all kinds of things bad with movies and biology. Anyway, that is not the point. The point now is to continue our romp through the squamata, and Elizabeth is up with the Varanids.
Yes, so the Varanidae are the monitors and iguanas. It's a single genus, Varanus. They're active diurnal foragers, and they can vary from 23 centimeters to 3 meters in length. They live in a variety of habitats that can be terrestrial, arboreal, sandy, rocky, and aquatic. They have large complex lungs because they have high rates of oxygen consumption, and they can use their throat muscles to pump air into the lungs. They're oviparous. The males will compete for dominance by fighting by striking with their tail, hissing, inflating their throat or trunk. They have venom in their mandibular glands, and the tail doesn't regenerate when it's broken. And it includes V. komodoensis, which is the Komodo dragon, and it's the largest extant lizard. And they're found in Africa, South Asia, China, the Oceanic Islands, and Australia.
They are all of that. And let's see. You've probably seen this picture before. Oh, yes. Let's open this dude up. I should just add this probably to the slideshow. In 2010, the Association for Tropical Biology meetings were held in Bali. And if you're going to go all the way around the world to go to Bali for a meeting, you might as well take some time before the meeting and after the meeting to travel around Southeast Asia a little bit. So Bali is in the Malay Archipelago. It's kind of right here in the middle of the Malay Archipelago. And it's just a couple of hours boat ride from Bali. Well, maybe more like 5 hours boat ride from Bali to the island of Komodo. And so I took a trip to Komodo while I was there. This is a Komodo dragon that I took a picture of. And among the things that you can see is they're amazingly heavy-bodied, really stout legs, really stout claws. And this is a male that has been obviously involved in territorial displays and territorial fighting, because you can see that it has this big gash underneath his throat. They are, let me see if I can find the other one. Oh yeah, there it is. Elizabeth mentioned that they're venomous. They also have this very viscous saliva, and it's complicated saliva. It has venom components. It also has things like anticoagulants that when you're bitten by the animal, not only the venoms are evidently neurotoxic, but then there are also anticoagulants in the saliva that help the Komodo dragon down its prey, because the prey bleeds out faster. And so it's not a great way to die, being attacked and killed by a monitor lizard. Oftentimes they're consuming you while you're still alive, but they're truly impressive animals. If you ever get a chance to go to Komodo, I highly recommend it. Although it's gotten much more expensive to go now, because it's now very expensive to get into the park, into the national park, where these things live. But yeah, they're very impressive. They can be 9 feet long, tip to tail, and they don't kill humans, but they have been known. They don't generally kill humans, but they have been known to kill the occasional human walking the trails of Komodo. They tend to feed on livestock, goats and small cows and things like this. But yeah, we don't have them in the United States. They're included simply because they're of interest, because they are the largest. They possess the largest extant lizard, as Elizabeth said. All right. Questions about the Varanids. The lanthanotids, which are the sister taxon to the Varanids, are sometimes referred to as dwarf monitors. They're phylogenetically distinct, but they're the sister taxon to the Varanidae. But you don't need to know about them. But that's why they're treated together in the book. All right, so now we enter into this large phylogenetic monophyletic group, the Iguania, and the Iguania includes a number of taxa that are of interest to us: Crotophytidae, the Dactyloidae, the Iguanidae, the Phrynosomatidae, and the chameleons. Once again, just thrown in for interest. They are an old world group. And to kick this group off, the Iguania, that large phylogenetic group that includes a number of different families, is really widespread. Basically, among the families that are in there, you can find representatives of the Iguanidae on virtually every continent. These are the things that we think of as typical lizards, so anoles and spiny lizards and things like that. They're divided into two groups based on the type of dentition that they have. The acrodonts are the old world families, and the pleurodonts are everyone else, and they're primarily New World. And if you go back earlier in our treatment of the reptiles in general, the pleurodonts are the ones that have the teeth that are mounted on kind of the inner surface of the jaw rather than on top of the jaw, which are the acrodonts. So Rose has the chameleons.
Yes, so I have that the chameleons are easily recognizable because they have a bunch of cool characteristics, like their diagnostic zygodactyl feet, and that's where their. Do you want me to
tell us
explain
what
it?
that is. Yeah,
their
what is the
adjacent digits are fused on each hand and foot, forming opposable grasping pads.
Okay, what does that really mean?
So they can pinch. They can pinch.
Okay, let's
and like
see.
grab stuff.
Yeah, so you see that the toes are kind of fused here, and normally we have an opposable thumb, and then we have our other four fingers that are used for grasping. In chameleons, these toes are fused together, and these toes are fused together, and they're opposed so that they can grab around things. But rather than grabbing around things with just the thumb, they grab around things with the thumb and the forefinger on one side and the other three fingers on the other side. So you can see that there are 1, 2, 3 toes here. You can see that there are 3 toes because there are 3 nails. These are the 3 fingers on one side, and then on the other side, which you can see right here, would be the thumb and the forefinger equivalent.
And then I also have that they have horns and crests on their head, and they can change color easily. And their eyes are seen as protruding cones, and they can move independently of one another. And they also have prehensile tails and laterally flattened bodies, and they can have extensile tongues due to modifications of their hyoid apparatus. So their tongue can project out of their mouth really far and hit their prey, and that's how they do their predation. And then let's see, what else do I have? They eat insects mostly.
Yep. So I think, let's see if this link works.